Want to take a look at the number 6 car of Jason Bowles. Rick, as you mentioned earlier, already a winner this year. He won the 2011 Toyota All-Star Showdown. Let's take a look back. This is the final restart. Greg Pursley had the lead, but he had a flat tire on the restart. That opened the door for Jason Bowles, our 2009 K&N West Series champion. Goes on to get that huge win out at Toyota Speedway at Irwindale back in January.
Phil, let's look at Kevin Swindell. He just come off of a really great victory at the Chili Bowl. Beat the great Sammy Swindell, his father, by an inch to win his second in a row Chili Bowl. This kid is, he's got a lot of talent. He's going to be somebody to watch here today. Look at this, how close that was. Only by inches.
Had to pass him on the last lap.
And he celebrated at the Chili Bowl. Will he celebrate at Daytona? The field comes to the green flag. We're underway. Two 18-year-olds up front leading this 43-car field.
How about Kyle Fowler on the outside getting the advantage?
Before the field took the green flag, a few cars came onto pit road just to eliminate themselves from the big pack. They thought it would be safer to run behind the large pack here.
Yeah, most notable of that was Frank Kimmel, our 9-time champion.
I think that just tells you that's experience, and they think that it's going to get pretty wild and crazy up here in the early going.
You see how spread out already this field is as they go down the backstretch for the first time. There's Kimmel
leading that group there. There's Chad McCumbee, the 1 car, right behind him.
This is this backpack here with Frank Kimmel that's behind the lead group here, and they're just going to stay back out of harm's way for a while and see what happens.
It's Kyle Fowler who leads the first lap at Daytona as he crosses the stripe just in front of that 41 of Ty Dillon.
Steve Arpin, teammate to Kyle Fowler, is up in that battle.
See, there's just so many, when you have a new surface like this and the racing is going to be all different it's been in the past, there's so many unknowns. Some of these smarter guys, older guys, are going to say, hey, I think I'll let these kids run up front and see what's going to happen.
It's Fowler, Dillon, Arpin, Gerhardt, and Carmichael were your top 5 as they cross the stripe. Now you're seeing them single file down by the double yellow line. Same rules as NASCAR. You can't improve your position below the yellow line, so they can hug the yellow line. They can't go below it.
Now, what we've been seeing in all the cup practices is 2 cars getting hooked up and just absolutely blowing by everybody, almost 10 mile an hour faster than the cars running along the bottom there in the draft. I don't know if that's going to happen with these cars. They got a little bit different nose and a little bit different rear bumper. They may not line up good enough to do that.
Yeah, Ron Drager emphasized that in the drivers meeting, that the bumpers don't line up in these cars like they do the Sprint Cup cars. So that pushing all the way around the racetrack will not work.
Yeah, these cars with a little bit sloopier nose, they get up under the car in front of them. It'll actually lift that front car up off the ground. That's when you get in trouble.
Sloopier?
Sloopy. You know, like hang on.
Sloopy. Hang on, Sloopy. Kevin Swindell down at the bottom of the racetrack. Just behind him in that 31 is Tim George Jr.
That's a teammate to the 41 of Ty Dillon.
Out of the RCR stables.
Tim had a 3rd place finish at Talladega on a very much similar racetrack to this last year.
How about Dakota Armstrong in the 22 making the move now on the outside, trying to get by Swindell, trying to make that second or outside line move up toward the front.
What everyone was talking about is hold that thing down on the floor and stay on the bottom of the racetrack the short way around. Seems to be working so far for Kyle Fowler and Ty Dillon.
See, the yellow line's your best friend. I mean, that takes away a passing lane. As long as you stay down on that yellow line, you're going to have to go around me on the outside. So I don't have to look to my left very often.
And we just saw a tire get broken off.
Looked like something happened there.
The 94 of Brett Hudson turned around, slams into the wall. The tire came off just before he entered turn 3, and we could see the outside lining of that coming off.
And listen, it's not unusual to have a tire problem on the left side because you run the air pressure so low. And sometimes those pressures are so low and the air pressure doesn't build up quick enough, it can damage the tire.
Great news, though, unfortunately for the 94, but a single car incident here.
Brett Hudson down on the bottom of the racetrack. You'll see the left rear come off right there.
Yep.
Just lost the tread.
Milko Duna did a great job, the 63 car, giving him room and avoiding him.
Oh, and how about how close that was for Mary-Eve Defoe that went by.
Whoa.
Within inches of that car making its way up the racetrack.
There's Milko. She might have made a little contact. She slips by.
Look at her move up the racetrack.
Mark Thompson, fortunately, the 66 car was high enough and gave her some room. As
Whoa.
you mentioned, Mary-Eve DeVoe
Great job.
barely getting by.
Great job. You just don't see many single car accidents here.
Great job by Brett Hudson. He almost saved that car, and there was absolutely nothing could do with that casing gone off the left rear tire.
Obviously a lot of damage to the rear of that race car on the left side. That's the reason. Lost the tread of the tire entering turn number 3. Had his hands full. And it was a single car incident. Only Brett Hudson will be out of this first race. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Lucas Oil Slick Mix, the fast and easy car care products. By Yamaha, nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. And by Menard, save big money at Menards. A few cars came onto pit road under this first caution. Ray Dunlap, what's happening with the 5 team?
Well, they just came into the pits to put fuel in that car, and I ran over to the crew chief, Bill Gerhardt, and I said, how many caution laps do you need to make it all the way? He said, if we get 18 to 20, we're going to make it the whole distance. That may be their one and only pit stop. Jim Trado?
And the strategy played off for Bobby Gerhardt last year. Another car on that same strategy was the one by Mike Chaffee, the 32 machine this year, driven by Matt Morrell. His first time back in the car since 2009. He qualified well. He's running 6th right now. This kid was making fiberglass boats last year and ran just 3 late model races, but when he's with the Wintron team, it's been magic. He's hoping to do more than just this race. They're calming him down. He was excited yesterday on his first chance to get here to the Super Speedway. Matt Morrell out of Texas doing a great job thus far for a team that won here with James Busher just a couple years ago.
Thanks, Jim.
These cars normally have an oil tank in there. It holds about 5 gallons. Guess where all the 94's cars oil is right now?
On the
On the racetrack, all 5 gallon of it.
So they put down the speed zorb. Try to get all of that picked up. While they're cleaning that up, we will slide away, get another break out of the way. It's the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menard's first race of the 2011 season right here on Speed. Coming up later tonight, it's the Budweiser Shootout at Daytona. And obviously, you're a busy man today, Darrell Waltrip.
Oh, yeah, tonight's going to be exciting. Listen, those guys last night practicing for the Bud Shootout tonight, 203 miles an hour around this newly surfaced racetrack, and it's going to be faster than that tonight. Really going to be fun, something exciting to watch. I'm excited about getting it going, man.
24 cars battling it out for the title of Shootout winner. Before that, we'll get you set up right here on Speed with NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. That kicks off at 6:30. Again, we're under our first caution here of the ARCA Racing Series. It was the 94 of Brett Hudson that had problems going into turn number 3. Cut a left rear tire down, and into the wall he went.
You know, I said earlier in the opening about the rich history of the ARCA Series racing here at Daytona. You see John Markham, Bill Sr., Bill Jr. This was a series that they had a lot of faith in. They put a lot of effort into to help John Markham make it work. Nelson Stacy won the first race here. It's been Iggy Katona, a 6-time champion.
He won here at 57 years old.
57 years old, one of the best ARCA champions. And of course, who can forget the first time I heard about Benny Parsons, your brother Phil, was down here in the ARCA race. 2-time champion in the ARCA Series.
Yeah, won here back in '69. Had 3 poles in a row here from '68 through '70.
And then here's it. Most wins in history. 79 for Iggy. Frank Kimmel 74. You see Jack Bowser, great Jack Bowser. Tim Steele, Nelson Stacy. This has just been a series that has developed in the Midwest, and the NASCAR family and the France family really helped nurture it along.
You know, you talk about the Bowser family. Jack won 3 championships as a driver, and then his son Bobby won 2 championships as well. So long history. And Jack moved on to the USAC Stock Car Series after winning 3 championships in a row, or he would have won more championships and more races.
And we're a part of that history right here. We saw the second name on that list as far as total wins. Frank Kimmel, just 5 back of Iggy Katona.
Frank hadn't been, you know, he's struggled a little bit the last couple of years, but still, you never count him out. And when this thing went green, when they dropped the green, Frank and a whole group of other guys kind of fell to the back. And you'd say, why would they do that? Because Frank Kimmel, he's an experienced guy. He said, let's do that. And they said, we'll do it with you.
He's won 74 races. I think a lot of guys ought to go, well, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he didn't luck into very many of them, I can tell you that.
Again, Ty Dillon started on the pole in this race. He's running second to Kyle Fowler.
You know, I asked about the 41 number. I wondered what kind of history that was with RCR. That's the number that Richard ran at Bowman Gray when he first started racing, the 41.
Pace car's got its lights off. It'll make the hard left turn onto pit road, leaving the field back in the hands of Kyle Fowler, and he will bring them to the green flag. We're back underway.
They always protect the right. The reason they're up here next to the outside retaining wall is you can't pass only to the right until you get to the start finish line. So you protect the right side.
Now you protect the left side.
Now you got to watch them down low, get down on that yellow line.
Good clean start. Remember now, Bobby Gerhart all the way back at the back of the pack doing a fuel mileage situation here. I think he's going to try to make it the rest of the way. We talk about him needing 18 or 20 laps of caution. This race averages somewhere between 30 and 35. So historically, he will get enough caution laps to do it.
And he'll continue to rewrite the history books. If he's able to win again, it would be his 7th win. He's won here 6 times already.
And we heard his brother say, you know, you're going to have to be careful here now for a little while, working through some of this traffic, slower cars.
We're seeing about anywhere from 15 feet to 4 feet, the difference between these cars. They aren't bump drafting. As you mentioned, Darrell, they don't match up.
No, they really can't. It's a disaster if you do. You might be able to push a little bit down the straightaway, but you sure can't push all the way around the racetrack like we've seen the Cup cars do.
These guys right here and girls are really using their head. They're just single file. Long race to go yet. We have 70 laps remaining in this race. Let's don't take any unnecessary chances right now. We're going to have a pit stop for most of these guys. Maybe people like Bobby Gerhart, Matt Merrill, Chris Buescher may not stop anymore, but the rest of these cars up front all have to stop. As a matter of fact, it's a rule that everybody in the field has to stop by lap number 7.
I think right now you're just feeling out this new racetrack and how your car feels in traffic right here with these guys all bunched up the way they are. Just kind of feeling everything out. I guarantee you it won't stay like this very long.
When you mentioned feeling it out, they were allowed to test earlier, but there was no test where you put 43 cars on the track at one time and you run nose to tail. So this is definitely a new situation for a lot of the drivers out on the track.
When you run the speeds you're running, there's just a lot of turbulence off of the race cars. That turbulence makes the car move around. You don't necessarily get that when you're testing. Testing is more like a controlled environment. This is wide open, baby.
You know, this is amazing. This is the view out of Steve Arpin's Mike's Hard Lemonade Toyota. We're at Daytona. We're used to seeing that bounce around and everything. You're seeing nothing. It's just as smooth as glass out here. A little bit of issue with the sun coming off turn 4 till he gets to the start finish line.
The other thing I love about that shot is you can hear the engine and it never goes down. You never get out of the throttle here at Daytona.
They're talking about maybe only losing 100 to 150 RPMs all the way around this racetrack. Remember, this is a smaller restrictor plate than these ARCA cars had last year. About 30 horsepower less than what they had last year.
Kyle Fowler continues to lead the field around the historic 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway. Ty Dillon giving chase. 36 years between the two of these drivers.